I can also look at the table repetitions within the various tables within my transport stream. And you can see here as well, I have an expand view soft key. So I can come in and actually expand the view to show all of the tables within my transport stream. The next measurement that I'd like to highlight is actually the interpreter. The interpreter is exactly that. It will interpret whatever table I select on the left-hand side. For instance, if I wanted to look at the values of the video packet, for instance, I can always see my header information at the top with the hex 47, which is the sync byte, going all through the hex values within the video. I can either have a snapshot or I can have this run continuous. And this would be good for more in-depth analysis. As well as I can go into the table or PEZ interpreter, come over and select the MGT table, and then once it populates, I can come down and look at all the information within the MGT table and looking at the descriptors, if there are any in your system, and also the audio types and video types. The next one is advanced. The advanced one is actually an option within the MPEG measurements. And what we can do in this area is actually show the PCR, or program clock rate. So I'm going to come down and select on the left-hand side, I'm going to select my video, which is where my PID or my PCR is usually associated with, and then hit start. And after a short settling time, you'll see that there are red signals within here. But after a short settling time, you'll see that it will actually give me the min and the max of my PCR jitter. As long as my limits are within plus or minus 500 nanoseconds, I'm fine. And you can actually see the blue lines, which are the mins and the max. And I can rescale to come down to actually show the red lines, which are your limit lines. Now, any of these measurements can be configured for your particular needs. And in doing so, I will go back on the right-hand side of the menu and pull up monitoring, and then monitoring configuration, either the soft key or a mouse click on the side, and then it'll come up with a specific monitoring configuration. And this is where I can go in and I can select any measurements, I can change any of the values, and I can also assign alarm lines. Going back to where I was in the advanced area, so if I wanted to tighten up my PCR jitter, for instance, I could actually go into the monitoring configuration, change those values, and my limit lines will change. At this point, I'm going to stop this and come down to configure and actually show you that we can set up either whatever type of PCR measurements that you want to do, either accuracy, overall jitter, which we're doing here, PCR drift rate, and PCR offset. We do have 3 automatic profiles that are already set up depending on what your needs are. So the next point that I want to point out to you is the hardware decoder, which is an option for the Rohde Schwarz ETL, which will allow you to actually demodulate and then decode the MPEG to let you look at the video that you're broadcasting. At this point, I'm going to use the bottom button for the AV decoder and actually look at the video that I'm outputting. In order to do this, I have to be on the video PID and actually select that and right-click and have decode that video PID. So in other words, if I had multiple services in here, I can actually switch to whatever service I wanted to look at just by selecting what the service in the video PID. I can also come up and right-click on the service information and hit decode, and it will decode not only the video but also the audio. So if I put in a standard headphone jack, I can actually listen to the audio.